We don't have pictures for it yet, but we do have a name. It's called Pardon the Civility. And just imagine string music and then a picture of me and Ethan, or the three of us with, dainty pinkies up, drinking tea, having a lovely conversation. Ethan, what are we talking about today?
I believe we were talking about Kevin Durant. We've already mentioned it quite a bit. Basically, this all started when you started writing really brilliant pieces on Kevin Durant, getting access to him. I became jealous, and so I found ways to poke holes in the legacy of old KD. And now I'm trying to pass it off as an intellectual discussion on players and their limits. But per all that noise, basically, I'm going to ask you what I asked Tom. It's like, what do you see as Kevin Durant's future? He gets more turnovers and assists. Still, despite that flaw, he's a wildly efficient scorer, and something's got to give going forward. Do you think that he is held back by this flaw, or do you think that he just produces even better despite having this flaw, or do you think that he fixes this flaw going forward? What do you see?
I think he'll marginally improve just as he keeps understanding defenses. He'll just turn the ball over. His handle will get tighter. He'll lose his dribble less. But I think where he's going to make the biggest improvements are on defense, and that's if you think about a guy who's 6'10", has great feet, very long arms. He could really, he can guard, as you saw when he shut down Kobe a couple years ago in the finals. He can guard perimeter players. And if he gets a little bit stronger, he'll be able to basically guard all five positions in a way that's similar to LeBron. He won't be able to guard true fives the way LeBron does, but I think that he has the makings, if he can get there over the course of his career, of a top five perimeter defender. And once he's doing that, along with just dropping buckets at will, and he's going to go into the post too and learn some things. I think his ceiling is maybe a little bit higher than you alluded to, just because I think his defensive ceiling is so high.
I disagree. I think he can be he's obviously going to be one of the best players in the league for a long time. But let me be let me steal Ethan's curmudgeonosity for a little bit and just say that I don't think he's ever going to be the best player in the league. I think LeBron's going to have that for a while. Dwight might take that for a little while. And then after that, you're going to have Blake Griffin, you're going to have Derrick Rose, you're going to have Ricky Rubio. All those guys are going to challenge for the greatest player in the NBA. Maybe Rose won't make it. But I just don't know that Durant – I think Durant's always going to be the bridesmaid and never the bride. He could win championships. Their team's going to be very good, but I don't know that he'll ever actually be the best player in the league, kind of like Dirk.
That's really interesting because people have people brought that to my attention after I wrote about the Durant stuff. They said, what about Dirk? And my thought on that is, what about Dirk? Before these finals, did you ever believe that Dirk Nowitzki was the best player in the NBA? Some people after the finals feel that, but nobody would have said it before the playoffs. So I think that a Dirk-esque ceiling is a proper expectation for Durant. I would also point out that Dirk, early in his career, far better at handling the ball and creating, even though he wasn't good at it, than Durant is. Like, Durant is, he's unspeakably bad at this. And the one sliver, and I wrote about it, Kevin Pelton sent me a quick and dirty study of this, is that players do improve from the rookie season on their initial kind of assist to turnover ratio. So I think that could happen in the future, and that's where the Durant improvement will come from. I think he'll be a top 5 player going forward, but I don't think he'll ever have that number 1 spot on account of the lack of versatility.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that's really interesting here is that Durant is, and this is what they did with Dirk that was so effective, is that over the last 4 or 5 years, but really the last 3, running the offense through Dirk, you can do basically everything that the Mavs do. They go through Dirk to get there. The Thunder don't really do that with Durant yet. They don't really put him in the playmaker per se position. It's one thing to go and put him in isolation. It's another thing to run him off screens. But when you put him in an actual, okay, we're going to throw the ball into you, we're going to run a couple back actions, and then you're going to go one-on-one, and you're going to get to make that decision. They haven't really put him in that position, and I don't know if it's because Coach Brooks thinks that he's not ready for it, or that's not his skill set, or if that's just a limitation that comes with kind of figuring out how to fit Harden and Westbrook with Durant. But I expect you're going to see, especially once Durant feels more comfortable in the post and in the high post area, you're going to see him be more of a playmaker in the same way that Dirk Nowitzki had to find those places on the court from where he could make plays.
First of all, I like that you gave you had some reverence for Scotty Brooks and called him Coach Brooks, considering that I'm not so impressed by what he's done over there. You're a basketball player. It happens. What I find interesting from a philosophical basketball perspective is if Kevin Durant comes out and has like a 50, 40, 90 year and has the best PER but still has a negative ATO, and man, this is a nerdy hypothetical, but would he be the best player on account of having the best PER, or is he violating some sort of basketball ideal by not also being a creator? Like, could you theoretically be the best without being a passer? What do you think, Zach?
I mean, I guess in theory you could be. It depends on the rest of the league of where the elite players in the rest of the league are. I think in theory, sure, but we're kind of going into like a more efficient Carmelo here, and even if Melo was more efficient, would you call him the best player in the league or capable of it?
That's just unfathomable. I can't think of Carmelo Anthony in that context, and really, my anti-Carmelo Anthony streak. I don't want it to burble to the surface. Yeah, I know. We're lucky I didn't have an aneurysm and die, on live webcast. Although it would be great for stoking interest in the next HoopSpeak Live. I reject the premise, Zach.
It would be. We come to you this Thursday with a very special HoopSpeak Live, and we just show old clips of you complaining about stuff.